Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 582 of the Juicebox Podcast. Today on the podcast, I'll be speaking with Mallory. She is an adult living with type 1 diabetes and an artist. You can check her out on Instagram at Mallory Hart Art. It sounds like it's spelled, and there's no E in heart. Mallory Hart Art. Heart art. Heart art. Heart art. Mallory Hart Art. Anyway, she's got a really great style. If you want to check her out while we're talking, you should. Please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. I did that in one breath, and now I feel like I'm going to pass out. T1dexchange.org/juicebox from the U.S. Do you have diabetes? Are you the caregiver of someone with type 1? Head over there, take the survey, support the show, support people living with type 1 diabetes. Take you less than 10 minutes. I promise. T1dexchange.org/juicebox. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Dexcom, makers of the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor, and Omnipod, makers of the Omnipod Dash and the Omnipod Promise, which I'll tell you about just a little bit later. But for now, omnipod.com/juicebox and dexcom.com/juicebox. Oh my God, my voice is getting so deep. Links in the show notes, links at juiceboxpodcast.com, and I think I could play Lurch on the Addams Family right now. Ready? You rang. I hope I'm not getting sick.
Okay. I hope I do good.
Oh, what do you mean you hope you do good? Are you worried you're not going to do well?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. I got to get something off my shelf. Wait 1 second. All right. Tell me what you mean that you feel like you're not going to do good.
I don't know. What I wanted to ask you is how many of these do you record that you never air because they were just so bad?
It's my favorite question. How many do you think that I've recorded that I've not aired because they were bad?
5.
0.
What?
I've never
0?
I've never thought that was terrible. No one gets to hear that.
First one right here.
This is staying in just in case you're right. One, because the sound was so terrible and the person I was talking to was an older person, they could not hear me. And I could not talk to them properly. So it's just a disaster.
Sure.
That one wasn't because of what they were saying. It was because it couldn't be recorded well.
Sure.
There's one that was never aired because the person said something about their gender, and they were traveling to a foreign country and were concerned that they would be recognized from the podcast. So they asked not to play it, which is a shame because it was really good. And there was one that I recorded that I think the person I was speaking to had a mental breakdown during the conversation. And out of respect for them, I didn't put it out. But I've never not put anything out because somebody just was terrible.
Well, okay.
All right. So it's not a real big bar to jump over, Mallory. But, I mean, you could be the first one, I guess.
I could. We can try.
So I've now introduced you. So you don't need to do that anymore.
Okay, well, I'm still Mallory, and I'm still here, and I still have type 1 diabetes. So
when were you diagnosed?
I'm 29 now, and I was diagnosed in February in 7th grade, which is in 2005.
2005. Wow. And you're 29 now. That's a long time. Does it feel like a long time?
I mean, it's been more than half my life that I do remember life without it, but it is just my life now. It's what I do, and it's what I know. So yeah, I think it does feel like a long time.
Do you have a go-to moment when you think of life before diabetes? Is there a scene in your head that you picture more frequently than others?
My mom and I would like go to the mall when I was a kid and we'd get like, like a giant, like one of the giant cookies with like the frosting in the middle where they make it like a sandwich. And I'm sure we did this after I got diabetes as well, but I couldn't do that today. I would worry too much.
If you ate that cookie, you'd worry what? Your blood sugar would shoot up?
Yeah, for sure.
You haven't had one of those cookies since you've been an adult?
Well, I don't think most adults would have that much frosting in a cookie. And I probably have had the equivalent. I definitely love my sugar and my sweets and really don't care. And I'll give myself as much insulin as I need. But at the same time, doing that was always like a in the moment, spontaneous thing.
Like, hey, you and I are out, we're shopping. Let's get one of these big sugary cookies. Yay. And it just was never that simple again.
Yeah, I think so.
It's still not for you?
Yeah. Though at the same time, the beginning of diabetes, I wonder how I made it this far.
Wait a minute. Wait. You mean from where you started with where the technology was and where the ideas were?
Yeah, we didn't know a lot. And I was a young teenager and I didn't want to listen to my parents. I didn't want to listen to my mom, and they would try. But I didn't, I wasn't listening to them. They could only tell me to do so much.
Well, maybe you were right. I mean, looking back now, did they really know what they were talking about?
I don't know.
Mallory, do you not want to say that they didn't know, or you're not sure?
They tried. They knew, but there was only so much we could know. I had really good doctors, and they would try, but yeah.
So what happened that made you feel like it wasn't going well? Was it hindsight stuff? Like, you didn't know in the moment you weren't doing well, did you?
Yeah. I would say maybe 5-6 years ago, I really started caring, maybe a little less. I found the podcast maybe 2 years ago, but I would say about a year and a half before that, I'd gotten my A1C down to the 6s, and I was, caring. I got my Dexcom.
Well, I was going to say, was it that you didn't care, or was it you didn't know how?
I think I didn't care. And every time I would think about it, it was so overwhelming. Like, oh, I have to check my blood sugar that many times and I have to pay attention to all these things. But it's so much easier if I just don't.
Okay. I want to understand not caring. Consciously don't care. Like, what's the example I want? I'm going to jump off a 10-foot wall. I'll probably break my leg. I don't care. Here I go. Or was it this is hard, I won't do well if I try, and so I'm not going to try, and then I pretend I don't care about the outcome to get myself through this part?
Yeah, I think the second one. I think the second one.
All right. So
I give myself insulin when I eat, but I was testing my blood sugar once or twice a day at best.
Okay. And you were just injections?
I had a pump since like freshman year of high school. I got a pump.
Oh. But still just the pump was just a replacement for injections, though. It wasn't any like kind of advanced tool.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. When I first started out, we were on the two different types of insulin. I think one was Humalog and one was probably the NPH. One was cloudy. You had to mix them together. And and then when we started talking about getting a pump, we started to do Lantus and Humalog for, I don't know, we did that maybe for 6 months or so. And that was really just to kind of get you used to
a little more of the more modern, at that point, the more modern practice of having a basal insulin and a meal insulin. And then you would eventually go to a pump where just, I guess, Humalog was in the pump and then you were done with everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a second. Are you still nervous?
I'm good.
Are you?
We're good.
Nice. Were you nervous at the beginning though? Or were you just like being funny about sucking?
No, I'm nervous. I'm a nervous person.
In general.
Yeah.
Just made this little noise. It was like a little laugh. I don't even know if you made it. And I'm going to leave it in because it's kind of cute. I can't even replicate it. If I tried, it would sound silly. If you do it again, I'm going to point it out to you. Okay. So you're a little nervous by nature.
Sure. Yeah.
You're nervous by nature. Do you remember Naughty by Nature?
No.
Are you too young for that?
Or just don't know it If it's a movie, I'm bad at movies. I don't see movies, so I never know any of those.
I think it was a band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still no.
Still no. Wait, hold on a second. I'm going to read you some lyrics. And if you don't know, that's fine. But there's no way you don't. All right, ready?
Okay.
I'm not going to read. Well, I don't think I should read them all. Maybe I just will. All right, let's go. Let's go from the start. I'm just going to read it very phonetically. Army with Harmony. Dave drop a load on him. OPP. How can I explain it? I'll take you frame. Nothing. All right, well, let's jump to the. All right, hold on. Let's jump down to the. All right, now we're just going to do the chorus. You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me.
Nope.
Wow.
Nothing.
That was 1991. How old were you in 1991?
I was born in November of 91.
There's no way you would. Yeah, this wouldn't come back around for you. Wow. How did we trip into a song that actually came out the year you were born? That's strange. But you still haven't heard that?
Maybe I have. I can't say that I have. Doesn't sound familiar.
I don't think I can play it for you. I don't think I'm set up to play it for you.
Experience matters.
No, hold on. You can't hear that, right? What I'm hearing in my ears.
I can hear that.
More
You can?
Trust ADT.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to cut this out later because I can't.
Army with Harmony.
Don't think I know this.
You don't know that.
Maybe. It's okay. I think I've heard it.
All right, we're going to go
But I don't
deeper into
know
the
it.
song. Hold on.
Frame by frame it. To have your law, jumping, shouting, saying it. Oh, it's for other gaming. Seems I got a wanna know
Trying
about.
to find
Then you
this
pull
word.
up and it's a girlfriend's or a cousin's room to hit it. How many brothers out there know this what
Mm.
Yeah, you know me. You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. Who's down with OPP? Every last homie.
All right, if you've never heard that, you've never heard it.
I think I've heard it, but I don't know it.
All right, what kind of music do you like?
I like a lot of dark industrial type of music, but also a lot of like 80s stuff.
I guess there was no way you were going to know that when you described the music you like in a way that left me not knowing what that music was. So what
There
is
we go.
dark industrial music? Give me a band name that I would know.
Oh, I don't know what you would know.
Well, what would everybody know?
I don't. I mean, the most like mainstream you could kind of get would be like Nine Inch Nails.
I know
but
that.
Yeah. But then that's like the surface, you know.
I see. There's a deeper dive.
Yeah.
Are you
for sure.
bothered that Trent Reznor makes like movie music now?
Nah, he can do what he
He
wants.
can do what he wants. Look at you.
I think it's fine.
Your beautiful hippie attitude. You don't care. If you're not from the upper Northwest, then where are you from?
I'm in Colorado.
Colorado. That was close enough.
I'm in
of a
Denver.
guess. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, you've got that vibe about you. I had no idea where you were from. But I was going Seattle, Colorado, like somewhere in that swipe of the country right there.
I mean, those are very different swipes of the country, but yeah.
Not
I
to me.
gotcha.
Not when I'm generalizing it, isn't Mallory? It's exactly the same. Please let it go. Okay?
Yeah.
No, you just have an easy way about you. You're not interested in foisting your opinion onto me. You didn't criticize Naughty by Nature, which, I mean, let's be clear, anybody could have. Like, anyone could have been like, yo, Scott, you know, I don't know this because it sounds horrible. That's what you could have said. But you were just like, no, I don't know that. I don't think. You're very sweet. Are you sweet in the rest of your life? Like, kind?
I like to think so.
Yeah. Would other people say that you are?
Sure.
I don't even know what that means. Okay. All right. Now I have to get back in focus. I don't know how that happened to me just now. I apologize. Let me just say right now, I'm sorry for what just happened with the transpiring of what happened. So you have a pump and it's not a tool for like, I'm going to make extended boluses and conquer fat and protein rises. You're just like, I don't have to get shots now. Yay for me.
Yeah. I remember when we first did my pump training and it was either freshman, it might've been sophomore year, but you know, there's like the extended bolus and the square bolus feature. And they basically told us, they're like, yeah, you don't need to worry about that now. And then
They never brought it up again.
Yes.
For now, don't let the tiger bite you. Now, after you learn how to keep the tiger from biting you, we're going to teach you all kinds of tricks. Where are the tricks? Never mind. That's nice. So how many years do you think you lived in that kind of space?
More than I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I think I was saying I think I got my A1C down to like the 6s maybe 5 years ago. But, before that, but I made it. I'm doing fine.
Before that, what was before that? Are you unwilling to say, or would you rather not?
Usually maybe 9s, 10s. I never knew what my A1C was because they would tell me and be like, well, that's bad. And then I would just erase it out of my memory and, go on for the next 3 months of my life until they would tell me again.
Did they try to scare you?
No, they tried to help me. I had really good doctors, and the pediatric endo I had, he's great. And I really like him a lot. And he did great things for me, but I didn't care quite as much.
Did your parents lean into you? Try to get you to care? Mallory, did I lose you, or do you not want to say? Hello? Mallory?
Did I lose you?
Yeah, there you are. You're back. I was like, oh my God, I asked you if your parents tried to.
I can't hear you. It says you're talking.
Testing. Test. Da-da-da-da. Test. Testing. Hello, testing. While Scott from back then fixes the technical problem, Scott right now is going to sell you an insulin pump. Omnipod, in fact. Omnipod.com/juicebox. When you get there, you're going to find a tubeless insulin pump. That's not something you see every day, my friend. Usually those insulin pumps are little electronic boxes with tubing that come off of them, and then they kind of snakes through your clothing and goes to an infusion set, and it can get pulled off a number of different ways, actually. Rough housing, doorknobs, handles in the kitchen. You ever have that happen? You ever have a handle in the kitchen, like the drawer knob, like get a belt loop and it almost like yanks you right off your feet? Imagine if that got your tubing on your insulin pump. Ding! Comes right off, right? Am I right? Not with the Omnipod, because there's no tubing. So they call it a tubeless insulin pump. Anyway, now that you understand, omnipod.com/juicebox, you head over there and you get yourself an Omnipod. As a matter of fact, you may be eligible for, listen to what you may be eligible for, a free 30-day supply of the Omnipod Dash. Are you kidding me? A trial of the Omnipod Dash for 30 days for free for you? I mean, you're just a regular person, but now you're getting a free insulin pump. I mean, you got to go check it out, right? Omnipod.com/juicebox. And if you're one of those people who says, okay, Scott, but I'm going to wait till the next big thing comes from Omnipod, you don't have to wait for that. You don't have to do that, because with the Omnipod Promise, you can upgrade to Omnipod's latest technologies for no additional cost as soon as they're available to you and covered by your insurance. Terms and conditions apply, of course, but you'll find out all about that again at the link. Hear what I'm saying? You can get going today with tubeless insulin pumping. And if something else comes up in the future, no problem. Omnipod promises that you can upgrade as long as it's covered by your insurance. It's pretty fair. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Get yourself the insulin pump my daughter's been using since she was 4 years old. My daughter, who's getting ready to go to college. You know what else Arden's going to take to college with her? A Dexcom. Right now, she's wearing the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor. And let me tell you something. I thank whoever it is you thank. Like, think of the person you thank. That's the person I thank every day. I'm like, oh, thank you. That's what I say to myself. It's private in my head. It's fine. I'm not mentally ill. I'm not talking to myself. What are you doing? What are you trying to say right now? No, not you. Them. All right, I'm kidding. Dexcom. Makers of the... I don't think I can leave that in. Maybe I can. Dexcom. Makers of the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor. I'm going to whip out my phone right now. My iPhone. It's actually already opened. I did it while I was talking. Arden's blood sugar, 91. Pop-poo! Just like that. Was fighting with a little bit of a high blood sugar this afternoon. I decided I needed to make some changes to her settings. How did I decide that? I looked at her Dexcom. I saw what was happening and I said, I don't want this to happen. Let me just make a little turn of a knob here and a little adjustment there. And just like that, 91. Level and loving. All from that information. right? I just took what I know about diabetes. I looked at that Dexcom thing and I said, I think Arden needs a tiny bit more basal. I think her insulin sensitivity needs to be a little stronger. Crank, 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 turn, turn, turn. Like pretend it's like a wrench. I got a wrench on it. Like crank, crank. Anyway, it's not the point. I used the data that came back from the Dexcom, and you could too. You could also share this data with up to 10 followers. You can do it on Android or iPhone. You can see your blood sugar in real time, not just the number, but the speed and direction. Dexcom.com/juicebox. Do it. Do it now. I'm here. You know what? That's a Predator, right? Schwarzenegger yells at the Predator. Do it. Do it now. I'm here. Kill me. Something like that. Anyway, Dexcom. Go get it. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you now. I think
Cool.
it was my headphones because I just disconnected them as well and reconnected them.
Oh, okay.
So I think we're good now.
So I asked,
Yeah.
so after you said that you had good doctors, they tried to help you, but you didn't care. I said, did your parents lean into you? Did they try to make you care? And then there's so much silence. And I'm like, oh my God, I've hit on some deep, deep seated tragedy inside of Mallory. And then I finally go, Mallory, can you hear me? You weren't there. So
Yeah.
anyway, did your parents, were your parents with you at those appointments?
My mom was. My mom was always there and she tried to care. But I think, when you're like in the car and you test your blood sugar and she's like, well, what's the number? What's the number? And it's like, I'm never going to say this number. Do not ask me. Like, this is not the way to get the number. I don't know what the way for her was. I don't think there was a right answer for her.
I have to tell you, I think a lot of people end up saying that. A lot of adults in your situation, looking backwards, say, I don't know what my mom or dad could have actually done that would have gotten me to that place.
Sure.
Yeah. Is it just the age, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was the age. I think that.
Were you a problematic child in other ways?
No, I was an only child, but I think I was pretty good.
I didn't mean to say that you were problematic in diabetes. I just meant were you like what was your free time spent with? Were you, cooking meth or you know what I mean?
No. No, I was a good kid. I hung out by myself. I did a lot of art on my own. Yeah.
You're an artist now for a living?
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah. You make the money that way. That is very cool.
Do.
So is there something introspective about you? Are you an internal person?
I don't know. I think, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I've never thought about it like that.
That's
but
okay.
yeah.
We're going to think about it like that now. So do you don't worry. Don't worry if you never did. We'll just work it out right now with everybody listening.
Sure.
Yeah. Meaning, would your friends know your kind of inner thoughts, or are they yours personally?
I think they're mine.
Okay. And would you call yourself anxious, or because you said nervous? Remember, we said nervous by nature.
Yes,
But-
I am anxious.
Okay. Had you said anxious, we never would have heard down with OPP, by the way. Then my ADHD wouldn't have jumped around like it did, which I don't believe I have, but that's not the point. So you have a level of anxiety. Is it a level that needs medication?
No, I've tried it in the past and it didn't really help. So I was better off without it.
Do you go with the state bird of Colorado? And
yeah, sometimes I do.
that's how you manage?
Sometimes I wouldn't say I use that, not regularly, but
How does that come?
no, I just
May I ask?
say it again.
I want to understand how that happens. If you're not a regular smoker, then what happens in your life that makes you go, I know what I need right now. It's 2 hits of some weed. I'm sure you don't use those words, but I'm saying.
Yes, those words exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I think I never did in high school or anything because I was a good kid. You asked that, I was good.
Right.
But I think just curiosity.
Curiosity got you started, but what makes you today as an adult say, I'm going to do this today? Is it like life stress or is it pleasure?
It just helps you relax, and I'll often use some and then I'll, sit down for 4 hours and knock out a painting. So I use a lot of details in my painting, so it'll just help me focus and get them done.
By focus, do you mean take away outside stressors like anxiety?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're agreeing with me because I'm the host of the show or if you believe what you're saying.
No, I think so. I think so.
Okay.
I'm often not good at figuring out what I'm thinking and putting it into words. So the gears are turning while you're talking.
That's okay.
But
I'm happy for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just from the distractions, and I can just focus on one thing and do what I want. And if I don't want to do that, that's fine.
Okay. I'm understanding now. I'm starting to get it. So need to focus, have anxious thoughts, probably that are underlying. I don't imagine you're aware of them constantly. And then smoke a little bit, and then the anxious thoughts go away. Then you can focus on the thing you want to do or relax.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. Would that have been valuable when you were younger?
I don't know. I don't think I had as much anxiety when I was younger. I don't know why I do now. Honestly, I do think that it does seem the more controlled I got my diabetes and my numbers, the more anxiety I have over them not being good. And I'm sure that's fairly normal as well.
So when you were just kind of throwing it to the wind,
yeah,
none of it mattered, but now you're paying attention to it. And so just the sheer process of paying attention adds other things to be concerned about, and those things come to you as anxiety.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. It's interesting. I'm not anxious, so I'm always fascinated when people talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah, it really is interesting to me. And I don't know that there's a way through it other than, the things people do. I mean, if we're being honest and we look at society in general, most people probably drink, right? And now more and more people are smoking. I mean, these are steps to help with this kind of stuff, I imagine.
Yeah, I definitely don't drink. I only drink ice water. I just don't like the taste of anything else.
Yeah, you do not come off as a drinker at all.
What
kind of art do you do?
I paint a lot of skulls and animals. I do a lot of cats as well.
There's money in this?
Dark art would really be the genre.
How do we make money with this?
What?
How do we make money with this?
Well, I sell my work. I travel around the country to expos, shows, conventions, that kind of thing. And I set up a booth and I sell prints, patches and pins, stickers of my work and that kind of thing.
That is really cool. I found you on the interweb. It was very easy.
Yeah, you can.
Mallory Hart Art.
That's me.
That's nice. I'm looking now. Lovely.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. And then I paint theater sets as well. That's kind of my day job. Once that comes back, when the world comes back, it will be at least.
Tell me what that means.
I paint theater sets for theater shows. I work for one of the biggest theatrical companies in Colorado, and we make the scenery.
Oh, no kidding. So backgrounds, you kind of set the mood with that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, the carpenters will build the set and we'll texture it, paint it, carve it, whatever needs to be done.
How do you get so interested in painting skulls? Like what brought you to that?
The skulls, I really like the texture. I like darker things. That's always been the stuff that I've liked. And I started doing skulls and I just kind of really got into them. I like the texture and like the little divots you can get, and they're all a little bit different. And then they started selling well. So once they started selling well, I just kind of keep doing them.
No kidding. Yeah, this one's really cool. A skull with wires in black.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, there's a lot here that's really, you're very talented. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Is this something you have to work at, or was it very natural for you?
I mean, I'm a believer that talent doesn't really exist, that it's more of like something I enjoyed to do. So I kept doing it and, built up the skills, and just, putting hours into it and time into it is what makes me good at it. Each skull, the first one I painted is a lot worse than the last one I painted, and they get better. And there's ones that, you paint things over time and it's like, well, that's not good. And you don't ever show that. But you have to paint, X amount of bad paintings before you'll have any good paintings.
Do you work in one medium or do you jump around?
I jump around. Most of my work is watercolor. but I do jump around. I'll do acrylic and oil sometimes, but mostly I stick to watercolor for now.
You're more comfortable talking about this than the other stuff. Did you know that?
It's what I do.
I just made you uncomfortable again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a thing I'm trying.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I also work in theater as well. So I'll run shows and concerts and stuff, backstage and as a camera operator right now from the times we're in. But yeah.
So the COVID has caused you to have to branch out a little bit, or was it something you were already doing? You're just doing more of it.
It's just something the venue I worked for has transferred to doing.
This is interesting. Yeah. Where were you when I was looking for a logo? Jesus. Come on, Mallory.
I would have done it for you if you...
I didn't know you then. It would have been nice. It's really lovely. You've been listening to the podcast for a couple of years, you said.
Yeah.
What led you to find it?
It was one of your Dexcom CEO interviews in another, less than great diabetes Facebook group. Someone had posted an interview with the Dexcom CEO, and I said, that looks interesting. And I listened to it, and
it was mine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I was so amazing, you just kept listening?
Exactly.
See, that's what I thought. Mallory's starting to get the hang of this now. Good job, Mallory.
Yeah.
You're really talented. I have to get off your website, or I'm not going to be able to talk to you. That's very cool. Oh, look at that pin. I would like that pin. All right, Mallory Hart Art. And if you ever fart, I guess we could probably do another URL, but you don't fart probably.
No, never.
I didn't imagine. Yeah. Oh, your stuff's really great. Good for you. That's really amazing. When did you start? When did you start with painting? How old were you?
I've been drawing my entire life. My mom always likes to say, like, when I was in preschool, the rest of the class would like watching a movie and I was nothing to do with the movie. And I would be drawing on the other side of the room. So I've always kind of done it. And then in high school, I had a really good art teacher and I got serious about it. And I went to art school. I have a degree in illustration.
Where'd you go? Can you say?
Yeah, I went to Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design here in Denver.
Are you a Colorado born and bred person?
Yep, I like it here, so I've never left.
Yeah, I thought
great place.
when you went dead and you couldn't hear me, I thought maybe your headphones got high, and then I was like, "That's what happened. They smoked and now they can't hear."
I don't know what happened.
No, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now, you come to the podcast through the Dexcom interview, and then and now you have more tools, but you say the tools make you anxious.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way, but before, I might be feeling off or something. I'd be like, okay, well, let me test my blood sugar. And it would say 250. I'd be like, okay, well, that's high. I'll give myself some insulin, but that's not why I'm feeling bad. That wasn't it was a high number, but it wasn't an out of normal number. Mm-hmm. But, now I'm like, oh, it's trending up. It's 150, not that bad yet, but it's going up. And then, I'll get anxious about that. And then I have to continuously watch it and that kind of thing.
What happens? But what about your outcomes? Are your outcomes better than they were 3 or 4 years ago?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. And does that make you feel better physically?
Yes.
To make you
but I feel worse sooner. If I'm above 200 now, I feel awful.
Yeah. That's good, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know.
How about emotionally, are you happier with yourself? Like, is there any feeling of contentment or not contentment, that you succeeded somehow? Does it feel like you're helping yourself?
Yes. But then I go back and I'm like, well, the first 10 years I didn't do so well. And what damage have I done? And there's nothing I can do to go back. I can't ever change that. Whatever's done is done, and it might hit me later and it might not. I worry mostly about my eyes because of what I do. They're important and I'd like to keep them good. So I, see the eye doctor at Barbara Davis, and he's really great, but he sees signs of bad things happening, and it's just kind of do good now and see what happens. And it might get worse and it might not. But I won't know.
Are they doing anything right now? Are they stepping in or no?
I just go yearly and they take the photos of my eyes and look at for the dead squiggles and compare them to last year's dead squiggles and see if we have any more dead squiggles. And
Dead Squiggles. That's that. If that wasn't such a bummer, that'd be the name of the podcast episode.
That's fine. Dead Squiggles are fine.
If you could just go for something slightly more upbeat the next time, you're very, very, very thoughtful about that. I'd appreciate it. I actually, I went back to your website. There's something wrong with me. I was like, I shut it off. I'm like, I can't look. But you're really, really, you're just very talented. How do you get information about the website out? Like, how do you do that?
Well, I'd say I'm most active on Instagram. That's where I build most of my following. And then when I travel to shows, I give out my business card and people see me and then they might buy something and they might follow me later. They might just take a card and follow me. But if they're on my Instagram and they see something they like, then they would go to my website to buy it.
Gotcha. It's really something. I think I'm partially interested because I have no artistic ability. And it seems very impressive that you do to me. Like I couldn't, like if you told me it meant my life to do anything that was even symmetrical, I don't think I could handle that. I think I'd be like, well, I guess I'm gonna die if I got to make both sides of this look equal. So,
we have tools for that. We have rulers, and you can draw a line down the middle and measure. And
yeah, you're being kind. I wouldn't be able to find it. I'd just be
tracing paper. Yeah, we got things.
Oh, I see. You're cheating. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're really only talented at drawing one half of it?
Yeah. You got to use the right tools to do the right thing. You got to make the job easier.
That's really cool. I know I'm just very impressed. And you're young still. How old did you say you are?
I'm 29.
Wow. And now I'm seeing a set from a play. Wow, no kidding.
Yep.
That really adds so much depth and everything to what's happening. Yeah, I'm jealous. So, not of your anxiety though, that you can have. But the other stuff is pretty cool. Oh, thank you. 29, dating, got a person?
I have a husband.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Where'd we meet him?
We went to high school together.
Oh, he's known you the entire time you've had diabetes.
Yep. We went to high school together. We did, theater together in high school, and we both work in theater now.
No kidding. Is he at all involved with your diabetes?
Yeah. He knows what's up. He follows my Dexcom. He'll, if he gets the urgent low alarm, he'll call me from wherever he's at and make sure things are good.
So he's kind of like a warning system for you.
Yeah, he did once put my insulin in the freezer on a trip, but other than that, he's good.
In a hotel?
Yeah.
Were you very upset?
We drove in for a show and it was late, and he's like, "Do you want me to put that in the fridge for you?" And I said yes, and he was tired and put it in the freezer, and I had a set change the next morning. I had to do it. I get to it, and it was not good.
Mallory, you just very artfully did not answer my question at all. Were you angry?
Oh, what was the question?
Were you angry?
I was angry, yes, but at the same time, he knew he screwed that up, and
you let him off the hook a little.
Yeah.
Just one. Was it like a lot of? What'd you do? Did you go with words or dirty looks, or how'd you handle it exactly? Do you remember?
I don't think I had to do much. He knew. He knew.
It's a wonderful power that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm most jealous about for women in relationships. It's just that whole I could be as upset as I could be legitimately upset, and I don't think it would impact my wife at all. I don't think she'd be like, "Oh no, obviously I've messed up." I think she would completely and immediately turn it around on me and go, "Why are you acting like this?"
Mm-hmm.
Guys have a superpower. That's all. Kids making babies or anything like that?
No, not for me.
Not for you.
100% not for me.
How come?
I like myself. I'm too obsessed with myself. I wouldn't be able to travel and do my shows. I don't want any of that. I have cats and a dog, and that's great. I love them.
Children would not fit into your lifestyle.
No, and I wouldn't enjoy it. And
I think I know you wouldn't enjoy having children by the mere fact that you said I wouldn't enjoy it. those things would not be enjoyable to me.
No.
It's your mom ever talk to you about it?
Not really.
She doesn't like hold you up a little bit ever?
No.
Okay.
No, I think she realizes it's not happening.
Does she have other kids?
No, I'm an only child.
That's right. You
so-
said you were an only child.
Yep.
No kidding. Well, that's very nice of her. Not to give you crap, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Mallory, I don't know. You and I don't understand you sometimes. You get so chatty about the art, and then the other stuff, you're just like, I think I could say anything and you would agree with it. Is that true?
No, definitely not.
Did you see me ask you that question on purpose so that you would say no?
No.
Oh, okay. Is my sarcasm okay for you?
Yes, I love it.
You do?
I'm a very sarcastic person myself, so.
Are you out sarcasticing me right now and I'm not aware of it?
Am I?
Mallory, fuck you. What do you think of that? That's funny. What's the last play you worked on?
It's been so long. We haven't done theater for a year and a half at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That I truly don't know the last set that I've done. I've done some little stuff that's not necessarily for a play. We did like a Christmas, what do you want to call it? A Christmas like drive up walkthrough event at our theater. So I made some cutouts for that, some cutouts like take a picture in front of kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I understand what you're saying.
But
there's just nobody's out and about. And so nobody's going to theater.
I mean, we can't, the main theater that I do all of my set work for, they can't afford to open up until there's no capacity limits and social distancing. And I get it.
I see.
Yeah,
they have to fill every seat in order to make it work.
Yes.
Huh. If it never came back, what would you do?
Eventually I want to do my art full time. I'd love to be able to be successful at that enough. But right now I'm only about 50% of my work life.
Do you have another like paying job?
I work in the other theater backstage running shows.
But just that,
and we're
just
doing
with the camera stuff.
Yeah, and we're doing at that theater. We're doing some shows at limited capacity, and we're live streaming everything. So.
Oh, cool! I see a lot of comedy shows are starting to happen again. I think that's got to be the beginning of all this.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. The music, I would imagine, would be next.
The world's coming back. We're on the tail end of this. We're getting there. I've traveled for a couple shows selling my art so far. And I have another one at the end of this month. So,
are you vaccinated?
We're getting there. Yeah. I got in early. I lucked out.
Nice. I just got mine the other day. The lady.
First one or?
I got J&J, so I only need one.
Oh, okay.
But the lady went really high on my so I shouldn't. Well, anyway, whatever. So I get there, right? And the woman's wearing a little name tag, and it's like her name, RN. I'm like, oh, well, she's a nurse. That's nice. But she was, how do I want to say this? She was a couple of years past where I would be hoping she'd be giving me an injection, just older, if I'm being clear. And there's a pad, like I don't know if it was an Android pad or an iPad or something that she had to set the whole thing up on. And so after what felt like an eternity of her trying to work the iPad, she even joked, she goes, don't worry, I'm way better at the needle part than I am at the iPad. And I was like, oh, I wasn't worried. And I laughed. But what I was thinking is, oh, good, because you're terrible at running this iPad. I am concerned about your dexterity all of a sudden because she was trying to push buttons and missing them. You know what I mean? Do you ever watch your mom do that on a phone like my mom does?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, it's okay. She's been a nurse probably like forever, right? Like she was probably Abraham Lincoln's nurse. So this will be fine. Not considering that Abraham Lincoln died and maybe that wouldn't have been a good thing. But so she's like pops off the needle and I'm like, okay, what arm? I said left and I put it out there and I relaxed my arm and everything. And then it felt like she stabbed me in the socket of my shoulder. I was like, oh, and my whole arm hurt like instantly. And then the pain like ran down it a little bit and she pulled it out and I was like, God damn. Like, she's like, how was that? And I go, great. Thanks. She goes, do you need a Band-Aid? And I said, why don't you tell me if I need a Band-Aid? And she goes, doesn't look like you do. And I said, well, then I'm not going to take a Band-Aid. And I left. But then like a day or two later, I said to my wife, like, my arm is still sore. And she looked and she goes, it is so high up on your shoulder. And then we started thinking about how long the needle was. And I was like, did she just put it like right into the joint maybe? Like, I don't know. Anyway,
at least you don't have to go back to her for a second one.
I would do it.
Done.
I honestly think, if I'm being completely honest, I could have given that injection to myself and done a better job.
I'm sure you could have. Sometimes I want to ask, like, can I just do that?
I could get like, I felt like saying like, let me get this. She just, I don't know. She was lovely. She was, nice and kind and everything.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it.
Yeah,
sounds like it was a lovely experience all
the
around.
whole thing was, actually the entire experience was a disaster, but she seemed like a lovely person is what I'm saying. And then afterwards she goes, this is only the second one I've done. And then I wanted to go back to the guy at like the entrance who sent me over there and be like, yo man, come on.
Go back and get another.
Send me to the new lady who didn't understand how to like push like her finger on the iPad. Like, anyway, but I am vaccinated now. I'm very happy about it. And I did not have any healthy, like I didn't feel, sometimes people say they feel a little sweaty or you can get like a light fever or something. Nothing like that happened.
I had a horrible night after the second one, but I made it.
Did you have Moderna or Pfizer? I
had Moderna, and the second one I had like a fever of like 102 all night and, couldn't sleep at all because I felt horrible.
Do you need more insulin?
But I didn't really.
Do you normally when you get sick or do you not get sick very often?
I feel like I get my fair amount of colds and stuff. And sometimes I do. After the first shot, I felt like I needed a little bit more insulin, but it could have been anything that made me need that more insulin. So I didn't notice it a lot after the second one.
Yeah. I don't even remember being sick because of COVID and wearing a mask outside and everything. Like I haven't felt sick in over a year.
It's been great.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like,
keep up this life.
There's part of me that's like, maybe I will like, at least during flu season, you know what I mean? Like I'll be like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. Let me cover my face.
I hope we can get to a point where if you had a cold or the flu, but you were going to go out, maybe you would wear a mask.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't think we're going to, but it's a nice thought.
You're hoping for other people to learn, not you.
Yes.
No, I'm going to stick with me learning. I'm not going to lean on anybody else for this. This is all me.
Yeah, I think we've learned our lesson.
Yeah.
Don't lean on other people to take care of other people. It's not.
Otherwise, I have to say that like for things like your job and just stuff that I've witnessed with my kids, it's been obvious. I mean, I'm saying something completely obvious, but this has gone on longer than people seem to have the capacity for at this point. I don't think it's anybody's fault. Like, it's not like you should try harder. I just mean like my kids need to have a schedule and leave the house and need to get dressed to go somewhere. I think that might be the biggest loss of all this is a schedule.
I think I can live without that. I don't need a schedule. I love it.
Yeah, but you're an adult too.
True.
I mean, ish. As we're talking,
True.
I'm realizing you're more like emotionally where you're right around 19, 20. Maybe. That's right. It's fair, right? I'm at 16.
Something like that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's.
But like my daughter needs to like get up in the morning and have to get dressed. Like, like she shouldn't be able to, what she said to me like an hour ago when she came into the kitchen to like drop something off. And she's like, I'm going to work out now. School's over. I was like, okay. And I hear my wife go, are you wearing a bra? And she goes, I don't wear a bra for school anymore. I was like, I feel like she needs to be in a situation where school equals undergarments. I think that might be valuable for her.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I get that. But it's been a good year. I mean, not a good year, but it's been a good year of getting to like stay home and not, have to get dressed every day. And
I'm going to defend you and agree with you that I did enjoy the break. Like I've been alive a lot longer than you, but I did enjoy the time of not rushing around like we do, like in the course of a lifetime. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? You lose track of the fact that you'd never stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting back to traveling for shows to sell my art. And it's, what I'm signing up for. I do, 10 to 15 of those a year, and I didn't do any for, over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to do those again. So that's starting, a lot of planning and stuff goes into that.
I will say that, with the bit of a vacation time that my wife gets, we usually use it throughout the year. She'll take like a day off here, a couple days before Christmas. Like, you're always using it to prep for something. And I think it's possible that moving forward, we will start taking it in bigger blocks, like looking at that time as respite and not just like, oh, here's a day where I don't have to work so I can accomplish something else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least I feel that way. And I would like to see more of the country. I'm suddenly, that seems important to me, to get to the places that I wanted to see that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah. That's one thing I like about taking my art around the country and selling it, is I get to go to all these new places that I've never been.
Yeah.
And I drive everywhere too. So
that's what we're going to do too. We decided we're going to do it that way. My son was just in Colorado.
Oh, cool.
He was in Wyoming, and then
that's not as fun.
No, hold on. Then I think they were snowboarding, and then they drove home, but they very purposely drove home. They went to Moab. Is that how you say it? The desert, I guess.
Moab.
Yeah. And then they went to the Sand Dunes National Park. That's Colorado, right?
Yep. It's pretty south, but yeah. I went there when I was a kid. I have some memories of it.
What were your memories of it?
I remember it rained. There was like a huge storm, and it rained a lot. And we had to like walk. My parents like, oh, we're going to go walk the sand dunes. And it's like raining. And we had to walk through this like shallow, like there was like 6 inches of water we had to walk through. So we'd take our shoes off, and then like our legs got all wet. But then it was like sand just blowing on our legs, and it was so painful. And I'm like, why are we doing this? This is miserable.
But now you're older. Do you know why you did it?
Yeah. And then there were fire ants where we were camping. I'd like to go back someday, but that was not.
Yeah, your poor parents got you there, and they're like, look, we spent all the money we have getting you here. This is the day we're going to be here.
My mom worked for the National Park Service, so I'd get to go to the parks with her sometimes.
Mom's a hippie as well. I didn't know this. Hold on a second. I'm talking over you, but I don't feel completely bad about it. Your mom's a hippie too?
What?
Your mom, you're a hippie. You know that, Mallory, right?
No.
Mallory, you do art for a living. You paint sets and plays. You travel and share your stuff with people. And your mom worked for the National Park Service?
Yeah.
And your dad made tie-dye?
No.
There's just one kid. They had one kid because they probably were like, all right, that's enough. We have stuff we want to do too. Or you were just a pain in the ass. They were like, let's not do that again. Am I wrong?
I don't think I'm a hippie. I think you're wrong about that.
Okay.
I think I'm a modern artistic goth kid that grew up, I think is how I would put it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Interestingly enough, I see that the same exact way.
You can't see me, but you could go to my website, go to my about page and see a picture of me, but I have like blue and purple hair.
Well, don't you think that's modern? All right. I think so. Hold on. First, I'll do that.
I only wear black. I don't think that's a very hippie thing.
I don't know. I think you're thinking about it in the 60s, and I'm just thinking about it as a vibe.
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe? I know what I'm thinking. I might be wrong, but I know what silly thoughts I'm. Oh, wait a minute. I'm 2020 work, originals for sale, patches, pins, stickers, prints, apparel, and accessories.
Go down to the side. You can see the about. There's a picture of me.
Down to the side. All right, hold on a second.
I say all this, but I'm going to redo my website pretty soon, so it's going to be all different by the time this episode comes out.
I do not see about, just so you know. I can go up here and type about after the URL and find it that way. Oh, hi. Oh, there you are. Hello.
That's me.
It's nice to see you. Yeah, you're just a modern hippie. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. If that's what you want to say.
Well, it's not. I like the way you said that. I don't want to say anything. I have to say something, or the podcast stops being a podcast. Can you imagine if I was just like slow and I didn't really talk much? You'd be like, I wish this guy would talk more. But no. Nevertheless, I think it's really interesting how, like, you've described a number of different parts of your life and the diabetes and how they all sort of, you can see how they intersect with each other, but they don't seem to overwhelm each other, which is which is nice. You're not overwhelmed by your diabetes.
Yeah. And early on when I got diabetes, my parents they never let it hold me back from anything. Mm-hmm. I said I got diagnosed in February of 7th grade. The summer after 8th grade, I did an exchange trip for a month in Japan. And I look back on that, like how in the world my parents thought that was a good idea, but it went fine.
Yeah. Well, I guess,
they sent me with a bunch of syringes and some insulin and, eating foods I knew nothing about, and
you got through it. Yeah, you got through it. What's your biggest concern through those years was being too low, right? You didn't want to be low?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to feel bad, so I didn't want to be low.
What was low?
Obviously if I tested and saw my blood sugar was high, I assumed I would have done something about it. Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting to talk to people who've had diabetes for like decades, because especially those of you who've I guess gone to a different management style. Like you can I imagine you see like the way you handle yourself now in these couple of years, it's not in any way reminiscent of how you lived prior, right?
Yeah, I do better now.
Better. That's how you think of it, as better, not different.
It's weird to think back on how I didn't care. Like, I think there were definitely days in a row I would go without testing my blood sugar, but I was fine. I don't know how.
Well, you felt...
I'm like, well, am I misremembering that? Like, did I actually test my blood sugar like 6 times a day? And the answer is definitely not. Like, I was doing 1 to 2 times a day, maybe 3 at most.
Right. But by fine...
I'd eat food and I would estimate the carbs and take the insulin, and it worked out.
See, this has got nothing to do with you specifically, Mallory. Like, I've talked to so many people who are in your situation, meaning how long they've had diabetes. Like, that answer that you just gave, like that remembrance, is consistent through adults. Like, I did fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. Then I'll say, what was your A1C? And they'll be like, I don't know, 9 or 10. But they don't see that as competing. Yeah.
Now, when I look back, I'm like, oh, bad. That was very bad. Like, what? I'm so mad at myself. How did I do that? But like, there's nothing I can do about it now.
No. Oh no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't worry. You shouldn't worry for a second about it. It's just I find the maybe it's the wording, but everybody picks the same words. I did bad. I was fine. I felt okay. Like it's very interesting that everyone uses the same kind of phrasings. And yet they know, even when they're saying it, like you're saying it now from a perspective in 2021, like, that like that wasn't what you would have hoped for had you known. And yet you do describe it as fine. And so do so many other people. I guess what that shows is that was the level of understanding at that point. You were doing what you were told to do, right?
Yeah. And I think they would they realized, like, they'd give them their meter and they'd pick, well, we need more data. You need to test more.
Okay.
And then I wouldn't. And then they would tell me again in 3 months, like, look, there's nothing I could do with this amount of data. Maybe increase your basal rates, but like test more. And we'll look at this next time.
And you didn't test because you didn't want to see the number, or because you didn't want to be bothered?
I think I didn't want to be bothered. Okay. I didn't know really any other type 1s as well. There'd be like a couple at the school. They'd like at the beginning of the year, they'd like all to meet in the nurse's office together, but I didn't know them.
Did it feel like it was unfair?
Maybe if I was closer with them, it would have been different. I never wanted to go to diabetes camp either. Like, that was like, my mom couldn't have paid me to do that. I had no interest.
You wouldn't have seen the value in that community at that age, but you see it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually giving my mom a hard time. Like, why didn't you make me go? And she's like, haha, you would not have gone. And
yeah, you would have just argued about it.
Yeah.
Well, I had a question, and then I talked over top of you, and it made me feel bad, and then I lost my question. Damn it. Hold on a second. I'll find it. It's in here somewhere. It might not be. School. Shit. Fuck. God damn it. Oh, I'm upset. I was excited to ask the question. All I remember is that I wanted to ask the question, not what it was. And I don't want to walk back through it to find it. But I do. Damn it. You were in school, friends. You would have friends that knew. Shit. I lost it. This is it. This is my age catching up with me right here. I'm lost. Oh, it threw me for a I'm like spinning out of control, Mallory. You say something.
Wish I could help you. I wish I could help you. I don't know what you were going for.
No, I know. There'd be no way for you to know. Because I talked about naughty by nature at the beginning, so you can't imagine anything that I might say.
You're
What?
I didn't say anything.
I love you. I know it's early. We've only known each other for 55 minutes, but I really enjoy your talking to you.
Thanks. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I feel like you're tolerating me.
No, I like you. There's a reason I listen to most of your podcast episodes. Not all of them, but I listen to most of them.
Yeah. What kind are you not interested in?
Honestly, it just comes down to my life. If I'm not listening to many podcasts that week, and then I've built up, the last 10 I haven't listened to, I'll just pick and choose the ones and
Well, that makes sense.
move on from there.
Does it not? Is it unhelpful that I don't tell you what they're about?
No. I guess sometimes I'll find myself like, oh, I'll do the pro tips or something because they're shorter and it's less of a commitment.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm fascinated by I've come to understand that there's a whole aspect of how people listen that I have no control over.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's funny. In the beginning, it feels like you could do the exact thing that would get people to listen to every. And I was just like, that's not how this works. And I figured that out years ago. But like, there's a little kid inside of me who's like, you don't listen to every one of them. I work really hard on them, but. I wonder if you had a showing, if you put your art up in a space, and I very carefully looked at a few of them and then whipped past 5 or 6 feet of things hanging on the wall and then slowed down again. If you wouldn't be like, yo, what's wrong with those?
I think it's what you like and what catches your eye.
Yeah. No, I see it the same way.
I never went back and listened from the beginning, which it seems like a lot of people do. When I found the podcast and I listened to one, I did listen back to a few of them, but then I just kind of started listening to the recent ones.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways that people listen. There are the ones,
but at the same time, I also feel like I had a pretty good handle on my diabetes, and I didn't need to go back and listen to the basics in a way.
No, I hear that, and yeah, there's a lot of management stuff that if you know it, you know it. You don't need to hear it again. Doesn't mean you can't download it, Mallory. Understand what I'm saying?
Just okay.
You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. Help out the cause a little bit. You know what I mean?
Download them all on my devices. Download them on my husband's phone. I gotcha.
Yeah. Like if I came to your show, I'd walk around and I would loudly say, "Oh, I love this. I think I'm going to buy this." But while other people were watching, I'd be out there shilling for you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Seriously, like, I'm not kidding. I would help out. No. I appreciate that. I think there's some people who listen. Some people are completionists. Like they'll start at the beginning and they'll go to the end no matter what. They're compelled to do it in a way that, like, I don't understand. I think some people just want the management stuff. I think some people want the management stuff so badly because they need it, because they're in trouble, but they want to listen as well. Those people I love those people the most, I guess, because they go back to the beginning and listen, but then jump through the management stuff at the same time. It's almost like they're listening to 2 different podcasts within the same feed. But anyway, I appreciate everybody that listens, honestly.
Yeah, and I've recommended it to people. If I meet a type 1 in the wild, I recommend it.
Do you have any type 1 friends now?
No.
Still?
No. I have a professor from college who I talk to, and he's type 1. But I think if you went through my Facebook friends, that would be the only one.
No kidding. You just don't meet them, or you're not?
I just don't know them. Like they don't make their way into my life. You're
not avoiding people with type 1 diabetes.
No. When I'm selling at shows, sometimes someone will come by and they'll have an insulin pump on their pocket or a pod on their arm, and I'll say something. And sometimes they're really open to it, and sometimes they wish I hadn't brought that up. But
it's hard to tell, isn't it? I saw a woman.
Yeah. But I think that when I was younger, if I saw somebody who looked like me, I think I would have wanted that.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. I can see that perspective. I wonder if the people who don't
once a year or so, I'll do a post on my Instagram of something. I'll paint something diabetes themed and do a big post about it. But that's about as much as I try to cross over those things.
Are you Mallory Hart Art on Instagram?
I am.
That was smart branding. Keep everything the same.
Some other Mallory Hart took all the straight up Mallory Hart tags handles, so I had to take the Mallory Hart art one.
Did you ever go after her?
No, but the person who has the Gmail account occasionally forwards me things like, I think this might have been meant for you.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Well, it's usually like a very generic art spam email that goes around.
Oh,
This
so it's
guy's
not
like,
that
I
nice.
want to buy something for my wife in the category of $50 to $5,000. Please send me available works.
I like it when people contact me and they're like, my client would be perfect for your podcast. And then I look and I think, no, they wouldn't. And you don't think they would either. Stop. Yeah. Well, your Instagram is great.
Well, thank you.
At Mallory Hart Art. You should check that out.
Yeah, it's me.
If you're listening. Very it's really something.
Thank you.
Of course. No. Is it nice to hear or is it uncomfortable to hear?
I like it. I like some positive feedback. It's nice to hear.
I got better at it over the years.
I think that's one of the reasons I like to sell my art at shows, because you get people coming up to you telling you how nice everything looks. And you don't get that when you're working at home in your studio.
Nobody. Your cat doesn't let you know, hey, that really does look like me. Thank you. Do you paint your own cat? Oh, look at you have you did a really a nice piece of Bender's head. That's really nice.
I did that for my husband. He's
Did
a
you?
big Futurama fan.
Yeah, you should do.
Yeah.
If you did something for Coraline, my wife would force me to get it for her right away.
I try not to do too much fan art.
Copy and
But
stuff.
I do some.
Oh, I
But
see.
it's usually for
somebody personal, like a friend or something. Yeah, I would imagine.
Like most of what I paint when I want, and I sell prints of it. Though I'll realize what sells well and try to cater to that as well. But yeah,
I guess when you're doing it for a living, you do end up having to go where people's interests are, right? Do you ever find yourself having an idea and going, I can't do that. It won't sell.
yeah, and sometimes I'll do it anyways, or I'll do something small. Sometimes I work small, and then if people like it, I'll do something bigger that I can do prints of and sell it and market off it. But
Gotcha. That's amazing. It's very cool. The internet, like this wouldn't be possible without the internet, right?
yeah, the people say that the Instagram and the internet's like the new gallery. While gallery shows are still a thing, you can show anything you want now online.
Yeah. It's so easy to just, when you're listen, you're a talented person. If you weren't talented, it wouldn't be that easy. You have like a massive following on Instagram too.
Getting there.
Yeah.
I built up most of it over the pandemic. The pandemic was really good for getting people on Instagram and just looking at their phones.
Yeah, yeah, right. I hadn't thought about that. The podcast, it constantly grows.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I didn't see anything different during pandemic than I did at other places. It's just this kind of constant growth, which is really it's people sharing the show. So it's really nice for everybody.
Yeah.
That's really something. You're really cool. I appreciate you doing this. What made you want to come on the podcast?
I think I've listened to it for so long and I feel like I can do that. I want to do that. And then finally I think you'd posted a couple times that you were like, I'm opening up for, interviews. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
I'm glad you did.
And I agreed to that like 6 months ago and I still came.
Did it feel like a long time?
It felt like a long, like back then, I'm like, May, what am I going to be doing in May? But
wait till it comes out in November.
I know.
You'll be like, took me a year to be on a stupid podcast.
I know.
Do you feel like at the beginning when you said, like when you asked what happens to the episodes that suck, like do you feel good about this?
Yeah, so is this going to be your first one that you're going to like file away in the trash folder?
So you have no idea, you can't tell, right? How this went?
I can't. I'm also not going to listen to my own episode. That's the other thing.
Well, you better download it anyway.
I'll download it.
Think your mom will hear it?
No, she doesn't listen to the podcast.
But have you been on other podcasts? This is like not a big deal for her?
I haven't. I've wanted to do some for my art and I just haven't.
How would an art podcast go?
There's a lot of them.
Are there really?
Your art? Yeah.
No kidding. Do you have like wind chimes behind you or something?
No, I have a space heater going. It might be that.
Oh, yeah. I was like, it sounds like wooden chimes touching each other, clanking or something.
No. I have wind chimes outside, but I'm in the basement, so I hope it's not that.
Do you work in the basement?
Windows are closed. Yeah.
I wish I had. I work upstairs. I wish I had more of like a space that was a little more private, I guess.
Yeah, I got a good space. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, love it. What is and you said your husband works in the same industry, right? But is he an artist?
Yeah. No, he's a carpenter and a rigger. So he builds stuff.
That's so cool that you guys met in high school, but you actually, like, as adults, got to do the thing you wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we did it in high school. And then straight out of high school, I was teaching theater to the high school. I was basically like a coach in the theater. I would teach the kids how to build the things and help them design their sets and all that. And then I kind of stopped doing that just because it was really hard to compete with that and like working in a real theater in the real world. But he went to school for it, but he got a full-time job before he graduated. So he stopped school.
It's impressive.
Full-time job in it. Yeah.
Seriously. That's really impressive. I just got a job a couple of years ago for the first time that was really anything reasonable. That wasn't just like me, like trying to make money. You know what I mean? Like just you know what I mean? When you just do a job because you have to do it. Like that was most of my life.
Yeah. I mean, I generally like what I do. There are times when it's like, oh, is this day ever going to end? You know, when you're making sets and you're on a really monotonous project and you're just spending 2 weeks carving bricks.
That doesn't sound good.
It's fun for like the first day.
Yeah. Hey, we're making bricks. Hey guys, remember when we started making these bricks?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Is the actual creating the painting, is it always like heart driven, or do you ever have to sit down and do it for money, and is it harder that way?
You know, I do. You probably saw I do like pet portraits and stuff like that. I think sometimes that's like, okay, I got 3 dogs and I got to knock all these out this week. Well, this one's the cutest, so I'll start with this one. But some of those are just like, I just got to get this done. But for the most part.
But your effort doesn't change. It's just kind of how it feels in your head.
Yeah. You know, and then there's also like, you know, there's website work and there's, you know, marketing work. And they always say for art that like 50% of the time you're going to be creating the work, and the other 50% of the time you're going to be marketing the work and doing other things for it.
I put more effort into the parts of this podcast that nobody sees than the time of the audio that you hear. It's I was approached by somebody fairly recently, and they're like, I'm going to start a podcast. And I was like, you can if you want, but you better be ready to.
It seems hard.
Yeah, you better be ready to put a lot of effort into it. I think that's why so many of them start and stop so quickly. Just because it's so much more than you see on the surface. I think YouTube channels end up being the same, where people are like, I'm going to have a YouTube channel too. And then that's it, you know?
I've put some of my stuff on YouTube just so it can be seen through my Patreon, and it's a pain.
It's a lot of work.
It's so hard. It's so much easier to make a TikTok video or an Instagram TV video than it is to make a YouTube video.
Yeah. And no kidding. It's a massive amount of effort. So anyway, I think it's amazing you make a living at it, and that you're going like this long at it. It's really fantastic. Yeah.
I like to think I'm going in the right direction.
But it seems like you are to me. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wished we would have?
I will say, when I'm driving to my shows, what I discovered is that my blood sugar always goes up during them. And my new secret is I pull over on the side of the highway in the middle of nowhere and I do 50 squats, and then I get back in my car and keep driving. It's the most efficient tool I've figured out.
If you see a woman doing squats on the side of the road in Colorado,
100%. Anywhere. I drive all over the country.
Mallory's blood sugar is somewhere over probably 140. And she doesn't want a bolus, but she realizes, because you've been sitting in the car for a while. I will
bolus, and the insulin just sits there, and my blood sugar just keeps going up, and I have to move somehow to make the insulin work. It'll just sit there and not do anything, and that's what I've figured out. So for sedentary, because you're sedentary in the car for so long. Yeah. Interesting. There's no amount of car moving that I can do within the car, driving or as a passenger. You can't just get out of the car and bike pedal your left leg. I've tried all these ridiculous things. And have you really? Yeah. Like arm calisthenics, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Not enough to get the insulin moving. Nope. Get out. Some nice deep knee bends. Yep. It works. That's brilliant. Have you ever if you ever watched somebody see you and thought, I wonder what that person's thinking right now? Probably. Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Do
You know,
go ahead.
last year, before the pandemic, I had the T Slim pump and I had the Omnipod as well, but neither one of them I had the algorithm on.
Okay.
You know, so I'd be if I'm driving and I'd hand it to my husband, and sometimes he could figure it out, but sometimes I was doing it in the other hand while I'm driving. But I switched over during the pandemic to the Control IQ,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps a lot, but it's still, my body just sometimes needs to move to make the insulin remember to work.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arden decided to start exercising again more frequently about 2 weeks ago, and 3 days into her I'm going to be exercising more frequently lifestyle, I had to change her basal rates and make them weaker, and I had to turn her insulin sensitivity, make her insulin sensitivity weaker as well, just because she was exercising for 45 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great tip. See, look at you. You're full of
road
good
trips.
advice.
You got to do roadside squats. If we all make it normal, it won't be weird.
Wow. And I think right at the end, you pulled out a title for this episode. Definitely think it's going to be called Roadside Squats.
I liked Dead Squiggles better.
I know.
You know,
Well,
whatever you want.
Do you want it to be Roadside Squats and Dead Squiggles?
Whatever you want. Whatever. It's up to you. You're the boss.
Thank you so much. I like it when people are like this. Just hey, go with your gut feeling. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'll edit it, and when I hear it back, I'll be like, all right, I'll know for sure.
Okay.
Well, first of all, let me thank Mallory for coming on the show. I thought she was absolutely terrific. Again, Mallory Hart Art on Instagram. And thank you again to Dexcom, makers of the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor, for sponsoring the show. I really appreciate it. Dexcom.com/Juicebox. Seriously, check it out. It's absolutely terrific. Another thing that's terrific is the Omnipod. You'll find out more at omnipod.com/Juicebox. Don't forget about the Omnipod promise, and that you might be eligible for a free 30-day supply of the Omnipod Dash. Omnipod.com/Juicebox. Links in the show notes. Links at juiceboxpodcast.com. When you support the sponsors, you're supporting the show. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.